Well, hello again, guys. I don't know if you can tell it, but behind me we have another 48 Chevy. They just come to me like flies. I'm not really honey. I don't know what I am. But anyway, this is another project car for another customer, another client, whatever you want to call it. We are going to do a lot of similar things that we did on the old mint green Fleetmaster town sedan. But this time we're going to do a few different things, and I hope to revisit one or two things, like the transmission video was the very first one that I did on that other 48. This thing definitely needs transmission work, so we'll probably get into that and hopefully do a little bit better of a job this time around. If you're wondering where in the world I am, I will get into that in a Humble Mechanic video, November 2023. I don't know when you're watching this. I don't know when this video will be published. But if you look on that video, all your questions should be answered about that. But for now, we are going to dive in. I'm going to take this hood off, and we're going to start making a list of the things we need to do. This will be a good hood prop, right? Sure, that's not going to kill me. It's got just regular bolts, so we'll have to find some correct hinge bolts on this for this, because these don't work like they're supposed to. Oh, steady, trash can. Steady now. All right. Well, right off the bat, I would agree that a wiring harness would be an excellent idea. Got no junction block here anymore. That one's broken off over there, all in pieces, so I'll have to get some of those. Did someone rig this up for turn signals already? I got a flasher relay in there. Huh. I don't think there was a lever. No. Interesting. Then we got the old Rochester Monojet. I will probably look around, at least find a Model B or something just a little bit, you know, something with a little bit less nonsense going on there. So that ought to make it a little happier. Man, we just got lines all over the place. I don't know if somebody was already running 12 volt. We got a resistor going to the coil, which would lead me to believe that. Fun. Well, guys, today is the day that I hope to basically get this whole thing stripped down as far as the drivetrain, engine, transmission, rear axle, and torque tube coming out. So I'm going to start with pulling off their tires. Then we'll get busy in here and see if we can get this engine and transmission out.
Now, one of my goals with this project, without getting carried away, of course, is to kind of make things a little bit more correct again. You can see here we got a homebrew latch plate for the hood, and it kind of works. It looks like they got something going on there. All wrong hardware. We got a Ford tractor radiator cap, which is cool. I absolutely agree. It's a far better style and look than just your standard cap, but no one can appreciate it under the hood, you know. And I already mentioned the carburetor. We'll take care of that and make it a little better. Ready sourced from an antique salvage yard. This piece, there's the stove bolts. Basically, the slot-headed 1/4-inch screws that should really be all the way around this thing. So as we go, you know, most of this hardware is going to get thrown into a tin can and used somewhere else on some other project, but I'll have to get a box of stove bolts and do it right, going back together. And, you know, really a lot of this is just going to be cleaned up. I'll probably wire brush a lot of it down, all the peeling paint, and we'll touch it up later. Just make it look a little better when you pop the hood open. There's a lot you can do on the cheap and really make your project look good. So we'll do that as we go.
We're progressing slowly. I've had my radiator draining. The bottom clamp on the bottom hose is completely seized up, and instead of getting down there with a cutting wheel and just messing a whole bunch more up, I'm going to try to get it out of here. Probably make a huge mess, but maybe we can finagle it out. Okay. If I could just unhook this side. No. Go back. There we go. Now we're caught on the fan. There we go. Nice original radiator. Probably should take it in and get it cleaned out somewhere. I don't know if it looks like we had some minor leaking down on the bottom at one point or another. Now I'm going to get my brace out here. Get some things like the fan, maybe the generator, the oil filter, stuff we don't want to beat up, you know, and then we'll move to the motor mounts and the transmission mount, and we'll get it.
Do you want to know what being twice blessed looks like? I kid you not, it is raining and snowing at the same time. I'll be. It's beautiful. I could absolutely not find another drain pan. I kind of like to keep this green one for antifreeze, you know. Got a tall one you can use for a lift, but anyway, I found one of these old, you know, the little pivoting oil spout cans that you'd pour new oil in an engine with, so we'll just, hopefully that bottom pivot holds oil yet and doesn't just leak all over. Apparently we have a leaking rear main on this thing. Bottom of the oil pan's kind of beat in, like she's bottomed out going over a jump in Hazard County. Got more wasp nests built on the side of it. The guy's been in here working on the brakes. I can see new hoses and lines. Alright, well, we've got a lot of nails where cotter pins and so forth should be, so I approve of that. We got a new master cylinder, so that's great. I don't have to change that out. Just getting my mounts. I think next I will go inside, remove the tunnel access cover, get our torque tube ball loosened, so we can separate the two, and transmission mount bolts, and then I think I can pull this 6-banger out of here. Got another one of these at the driver's door, just wants to close on its own all the time. And it'll probably take me to about the end of the project to fix it again. Funny what a guy's willing to put up with. Alright, I'm going to pull this carpet out of here. Pulled the carpet out and found a wrench. I don't know if that fits the cap here. But evidently the guy forgot about it, so we'll put that in his stash of parts here. Oh man, we got tar paper or something. Somebody's been in here and threw some primer down. Called these things stove bolts earlier, working with that radiator shroud or grill hood latch cover thingy. They're really not, you know. They're I suppose the stove bolt would technically have a bolt thread. Well, what is the deal with you? There's so much junk in these slot heads here. They're
more of a pointed kind of lag bolt type of thread, really. So I don't know what you'd call them, but it's the same head as a stove bolt, sort of. I mean, maybe it's bigger, flatter. There she is. This is the new look, Latex Jackson. Okay, I've got my torque tube ball bolts out. Also, I'm missing a bolt completely on the transmission mount on this side. That's fine, it only needs one there, and this one here is completely loose. I don't know about the front one. Well, actually, I think that's missing the nut on that one. Yeah. That's okay. You know, they put 4 in there so that you could lose some. And it wouldn't be a problem, right? Okay, I can tell the rear gasket's really not doing anything because of how loose it is. And let's get some light on this here. I think that U-joint's shot, but I got a new one, so that's okay. Okay. All right. Speedo cable, the remaining transmission bolts, and I think we're there. Alright, we're going to pop this off. And I'm going to take, let's see, I might take the second bolt back here and the second from the rear on the manifold side and replace it with an eye hook. Wasn't sure this thing could do it or not. Oh, get in there. Alrighty. And where did I put you? There you are. Oh, that's right. I need an extra special long one for that. A guy really ought to weld one up, you know? Well, I guess I can hook onto the water pump. I really don't feel like waiting any longer, so we'll do that.
We suggest that you like and subscribe now.
Hey guys, if you like this kind of thing, you're in luck. 2 weeks ago, the video, I pulled 6-cylinder out of an 81 El Camino. We're doing a V8 swap on. 1 week ago, I did a video. I installed the horizontally opposed 6-cylinder back into my 65 Corvair. I know they're not 40s models, and not much else is. I'm right there with you. But then again, the 40s weren't the 30s, which are awesome cars. And the 30s weren't the 20s, which are awesome cars. And the 20s weren't the teens, which were, okay. No, they're still awesome. Alright, you gonna behave yourself now? I don't like you, but I don't know what else to do. I'll try you. I'm gonna try you. It's acting agreeable. I think we're good. I'm gonna move you.
Whoa, son. All right.
It's out, Clarence. So as most of you probably know by now, I'm working in a neighbor's shop. He's kind enough to let me do this here. And he said I can use any of the equipment. He has a torch, he said. Should have plenty of gas in it. And that's exactly what I needed for these nuts on these shackle bolts here. Everything's seized up, and for this kind of thing it's best to just, you know, get that hardware cherry red. And I turned the exhaust the oxygen regulator on, and more gas came out of the cracks in the hose than the torch head. So I decided it probably not worth blowing myself up and burning his shop down. Then I found this propane deal, which is better than nothing. And I don't know why it doesn't seem to have much oomph to it, but it's hopefully doing the job. If you want to pull your rear axle and torque tube on one of these, service them, you'll have to deal with this kind of thing, of course, but you obviously need to disconnect the transmission, disconnect your parking brake linkage right under the torque tube ball. You'll probably have some brackets that the parking brake cables run through. You'll have to loosen. Hydraulic brake hose at the rear axle or just in front of it shock absorber links, if they even exist anymore. One of these is just barely hanging on. I think I can tap it sideways with a hammer when it comes time for that, and it'll disconnect there. And then your shackle bolts, and that thing will drop right down. So I'm going to keep going around doing this to all the hardware I need to loosen, and we'll get back together here hopefully very soon. I got to leave by 4:30 at the latest today. Got an appointment in town. Alright, respect goes two ways, buddy. Yeah. Yuck. It's going good. Well, lads, this one nut on here, I got all the shackle bolts and spring bolts loose, but this one, and if I had a good working torch, I could heat that up. I could melt that nut right off of there without ruining the threads on that shackle, but I'm not gonna get that done today. I don't even know if this guy has a good angle grinder here with a cutting blade. Shoot. I'm gonna have to go around and see what I can find, and I don't really want to cut the whole thing off, but I guess if I have to, I have to. Well, just one of those little miracles we all take for granted. I could not find angle grinder, which I find that very hard to believe. I mean, there's stuff pigeonholed everywhere here, so there's got to be one. But anyway, grabbed a cold chisel, started beating on it, and it soon fell off. So it was very, very rotten. I don't know where it went. There's a piece of it right there. So, not much left. So I got the jack under the old hogshead there. I'm going to knock all my bolts out and we'll lower this down. Pull it out of there. And the man in the back said everyone attack. And it turned into a ballroom blitz. This is a ballroom blitz. This is a ballroom blitz. Okay guys, I cleaned off our serial number stamp pad here down by the distributor, and our last four digits are T54Y. T is Towanda, New York, where this was cast. 54 is the year,
And why is it was hooked to a Power Glide, which is good news. So we got a good 235, and it is the higher horsepower being hooked to a Power Glide. 125 versus I believe 115 for the standard. And if you're impressed with my vast knowledge, you should be. I know how to run a smartphone to look this stuff up. So anyway, good news. We got a good little 235 here.
You know, my grandpa was bald like from his 20s on, so he almost always had a stocking cap on, and he always wore it kind of. He had the hair ring showing on one side, and it was always kind of down here, and just, you know, it was a good look, and maybe I'll pull it off one day. But I still got some left right now. Anyway, we achieved our goal. We got the entire drive line out. It took me about, I don't know, 5 or 6 hours, but we got it out, and that thing fought me hard. Those shackle bolts they're in bad shape, what's left of them. So I'm really glad I decided that I was going to pull that out to work on it this time. The previous 48, you know, I replaced the oaky bushing under the car, so forth, and there's no comfort there, to say the least. But definitely we need to work on the spring setup. Not a drop of gear oil has come out of the front of the torque tube, which is a little bit concerning. So we better pull the hogshead, check the gears, check the bearings, make sure we're all okay there. And then of course we'll do the oaky bushing. Now this guy's actually been through, I pulled a drum off the rear. He's been through the brakes. Wheel cylinders look new. The hardware looks great. The shoes look great. I ordered a complete kit, as I showed you, I believe, on the last Humble Mechanic video, from Chevs of the 40s. So I'll have to probably reimburse him for that, and we may need a rear brake hose or something, but he doesn't need the whole kit. So we'll just put that on the shelf, and I'm sure we'll use it again. The engine I'll probably tear down just to get, you know, take the oil pan off. We'll check compression, we'll clean it up, we'll paint it, we'll make it look good. Transmission and clutch need to be completely gone through, and then there's a lot on the car itself we're going to do. So, you know, working on a 48 Chevy was kind of the beginnings of this channel, and that's how a lot of you found me, and I think there's more than one of you that's excited to be working on one again. So here I am talking like that was 20 years ago and we've come so far. But anyway, I also want to apologize. I'm struggling with this camera, and I think I've got it adjusted to where it's not quite so yellow. I've got these fiberglass skylights in this shed. I've got fluorescent lights, and this camera is just a little bit confused. So bear with me as I deal with figuring out cameras in another shop yet. That's always a struggle for me. That's not something I'm an expert at. So anyway, that's all I have for you on this one. Like I said, I've got a lot more content. If you go to my channel, click on playlists, you can see any lengthy project I do. I create a playlist so you can just watch the whole series as it progresses. If you're here for the first time because of this 48, I have an entire 1948 Stylemaster playlist where I went through a different car. Or if you just go to my channel and scroll down through the videos, I do an awful lot of other things. So check that out. You can subscribe so you know when I have a new video, usually every Sunday. You can email me directly if you wish. That address is down below in the description. You can visit my website. That website is down below in the description. You can just do a whole lot of stuff, is what I'm saying. So, anyway, enough prattle. God bless you guys. We'll see you on the next one. I think I'm just going to start doing this now. Yep.